Hello, everyone. Hello, it is I, troopersjp, and thank you for joining me as I play through Sundial Games' 2026 quest calendar, The Souls of Saraku, which is a 365-day solo TTRPG, where in this year I'm playing as the villain. I'm doing a custom villain, Shade Murdstone, who is a shadow elf bonecaller, a bit of a bard necromancer mix who likes to sing songs to the dead. And the we are playing as people after the in the aftermath of the death of the evil overlord, where I'm now trying to become the new evil overlord in his place. I'm at the site of the old Dark Citadel, which has been destroyed by the heroes of the light. Who we do not like. I've won over some people, but we're in the camps, and let us find out what happens on this day, Wednesday, March 11th, 2026, also known as Wednesday Frostmelt 11. Before I read out anything, I will note that there's a little backpack on the image for today, which means I can do a little bit of looting. And let us do that, shall we? I roll a 6. I roll a 6, and a 6 is a moon moss, which is cool. Let me just add a moon moss to my inventory. And we currently have... Do we have any moon mosses? We do. We have one moon moss, and now we have two. Don't feel bad about that either. And so... After a night of rest, it is time to rebuild the castle. First, you will need to gather supplies. The job will require stone, wood, and iron to begin the repairs. All right, so before I read any further, because that's the front of the page, so we're going to rebuild the Dark Citadel on the location of the old Dark Citadel. So my first thought is that a good idea? I mean, it kind of seems like people might notice because, there was just a big, huge battle here. Like, they know where it is, right? The heroes of the light, they know exactly where the Dark Citadel is, or at least where it was. On the other hand, perhaps rebuilding in the exact... Also, if he died pretty spectacularly, it might be bad luck to just rebuild it in the exact same place. Maybe we want a new place, like on the beach. That could be nice, like a nice beachfront Dark Citadel. Could be cool. On the other hand, I'm going to assume that the Overlord picked this location for the Dark Citadel because it's a defensible place. It's probably like in a nice location. And I'm going to assume there's some kind of mystical significance, like secret ley lines or something. So I guess, but also I just feel like if you're going to rebuild, especially if the thing was blown up in a huge explosion, it might be more trouble to have to like clear and then rebuild. Although I bet the foundation's still solid. I wonder if we have like Dark Citadel insurance. Well, we've decided that we're going to rebuild here, so I guess that is what it is. We have a number of rolls to make. If you have persuaded Hogtar and Gendrak, written down from earlier, which, by the way, we do, I get a +2 bonus on all the rolls on this page. Nice. If we had defeated them, we would get a +3 instead. I see how those goblins are. You live and you learn. So the first thing we must do is rally the camp, which is a d20 charisma check plus persuasive. So I'm going to roll it first before I describe it because you never know how this is going to go. So let's see. What do we have here? I roll a 15 plus my charisma, which is a +2. So that's a 17. All right. First, you must rally all the henchmen in the camp and motivate them to help rebuild. Spirits are low. They need a goal to work towards and someone to motivate them. Me. I gather them around to encourage them against the hard work ahead. I say, goblins, ogres, orcs, trolls, gnolls, trogdars. We have once been burninated, but we ourselves shall be the burninators. We shall burninate the villages. We shall burninate the countryside. But before we can do that, we need a place to sleep. And sleeping outside on rocks and rubble is not particularly fun. No, we need to rebuild the citadel. Not just as a symbol of the ways in which we shall rise again, but also because it really sucks being out in the rain. Once someone left a cake out in the rain and it was ruined. I don't think I'll ever be able to find that recipe again. And so, if you want a cake, if you want a place to sleep, if you want to show the world, to show those heroes of the light who we are, it is time for us to work together, to rebuild that which was broken, to remake that which has fallen. Yes, let us rebuild together. And by us, I mean you, because I don't really like lifting things with my own hands. My words spark a fire under the group, invigorating my allies as they rally to join the efforts. Once the work gets underway, a few henchmen, initially on the fence about joining me, decide I am a worthwhile leader, and I gain 2 minions, which I feel very good about, and gaining 2 minions will now bring my minion count from 6 to 8. Well, I feel good about that, but we're not done yet. We must also gather wood. Why do I have to gather wood? I'm like an evil overlord type. I should have minions for that. Well, I have to roll a d20 plus strength. Well, let's see. And I roll a 5. That's a 5 minus 1 because it's strength, so that's a 4. Okay, and the breakpoints are 7, like 7 or less, 8 to 14, and 15 and up. And it says here that it says, the area around the castle is dotted with trees for wood that I can try to chop down. Repeat this roll until I have obtained 10 logs. So I have to make this roll a number of times. Okay, well, I don't think that I can necessarily force that wisely from, I need 4 more. So I think I will keep this number. So I'm going to have to track how many pieces of wood that I gather, and I'm going to use a die, and I'm going to use the Sundial Games die that I got. I've got a little d10, and I will just make a note of how many pieces of wood I have gathered, and let's see. I'm going to keep the 4. I will keep the 4, and let's see what it says. If the result is 7 or less, the tree splinters in the wrong place and falls towards you. I escape out of the way of the trunk, but several branches scrape against me as I dive out of the way. Reduce my health by 1, gain 1 log. We'll just add 1. And I'm going to reduce my health by 1, which takes my health from 14 to 13 out of 17. Well, all right. Well, it looks like we're going to have to roll a couple more times. Let's see what we've got here. Our second roll, strength. I roll a 1, which is an automatic failure. I get to increase the number of logs I have to 2, but I also lose another health, which will take me down to Paradise City. By that, I mean a 12. That's not great. Not great. Okay, well, it's okay. We roll 3. I roll a 17. Awesome. Minus 1 is 16, so I successfully fell a large tree, and I gained 2 logs, which will bring me to 4 logs. All right, roll 5. Let's see what we can do here. A 7 minus 1 is a 6. -1 is a 6. I need 2 more, right? I need 2 more. And I don't really have anything super awesome. I do, however, have a boon. I have 1 boon, and I feel like I should use it because what would happen if I get another 20 and I haven't used it up? So let's just take my boon down from 1 to 0 and add a d4. I rolled a 4. So I take that 6 to a 10. Mm, mm, and it says, I somehow managed to mangle the tree, making the wood almost useless. Gain 1 log. I go up to 5 logs, but I do not take any damage. 5. Okay. Whew. All right, let's see how we go. We've got 5, so we've done 4 rolls so far. I don't know if we need to track how many rolls we have, but I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Let's see. Our next roll, our 5th roll. I roll an 8. -1 is a 7. Um, I am going to use 1 minion to bump that up to an 8 again, taking my minion count from 8 to 7. And that means I will succeed again without taking any damage, bringing my log count up to a 6, which I don't feel bad about. We have to sacrifice a minion here and there. So I think what happens is while I am gathering wood, a tree starts cracking right towards me, and I push a minion into the tree's path so I don't get injured, which, I think is fair. By the way, I should just review my henchmen and pets. I've got Grimcackle, who lets me get more minions. Noodlebeard, which lets me look at maps ahead of time. Velvet Fang, whose energy is out, who lets me sort of get minions in combat, maybe. I have Snaggle Claw, who gives me persuasive and animal trainer. I've got Skulldrake, which gives me stealthy and survivalist, and I have got Gaze Weaver, which gives me danger sense and student if I spend money on it. So just a good thing. None of that's going to help me right here, but at least not at the moment necessarily, but at least it's a good thing to remember. Okay, let's make our next roll, shall we? We were at 6. We roll a 10. -1 is a 9, which is within our range. Let's just increase our count to 7 logs. And then let's see, let's go again. Our next roll is a 16, which is a 15 -1, and that actually gives us 2 logs because we're very successful. We're at 9. And 1 more. They're just kind of trying to bleed our hit points, aren't they? I mean, that's really what this is about. So let's see. We roll a 4, which is a 3. And I just don't think we can get to an 8 from that. So we're going to take it, and we're going to take that last bit of damage, which will take our hit points from a 12 to an 11. And we now have our 10 logs. Okay, I don't love that. All right. Step 3. We must scavenge for stone, which we must roll a constitution check, but we can use our danger sense if we have any danger sense. And we do not ourselves have any danger sense, but one of our pets can grant us danger sense if we need it. So, let us see. The breakpoints are the same. We just rolled a 3. Okay, so that's a 3 constitution, and my constitution, I think, is actually not great. My constitution is -1, so I just rolled a 2. That's a 2. And there's no way I don't think we can get to... Yeah, I don't think we can get to an 8 well. So let's see what it says here. The land contains stone in the form of tall pillars that have previously been unable to keep... That have been previous... let's see what it says here. The land contains stone in the form of tall pillars that have previously been used to keep cover in battle. Some stones can be taken from the rubble as well. Repeat this roll until you've obtained 10 slabs. Okay, a new count. Let's see. If the result is 7 or less, which it is, you find a promising lump of stone. I fumble, however, while carrying it, dropping the stone on my foot, breaking it. Reduce my health by 1 and gain 1 slab. I will take the slab and I will reduce my health from 11 to 10. I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't like it. Let's make we have to get 10 slabs. All right, let's roll again. Let's see what we have here. I roll an 18, and then I double-clicked, and then I rolled a 10. We're going to keep both of those rolls, which is great. The 18 is a 17, which means I scavenge a sizable stone slab, carefully carrying it to the resource pile. Gain 2 slabs, bringing me up to a 3. And then that 10 comes in right afterwards, and it's which becomes a 9, which is within that middle band. While hauling a lump of heavy stone, I grow tired and drop it. It breaks into smaller pieces. Gain 1 slab, which brings me to 4. So, I've got some health potions, and I do think I might maybe need to think about drinking it before we end this page, But let's make our next roll, shall we? I roll a 1. Automatic failure. We do go up to 5. I break my other foot, 5 stone slabs, and I'm going to lose another health, which is going to bring my health down to a 9. Does anybody else have a sense that this is a bad sign, that they're just trying to drain me of all my health points for like a big dragon that's going to come next or something? My next roll is an 8, which goes down to a 7, which is not enough. But I do have danger sense counts, and I do have a little minion, my little grave reaver, and I believe he does have 2 energy left, so I'm going to just use 1 of his energy to give myself a +1 because of danger sense, which will bring me back up to 8, which means I will get 1 stone but not take any health damage, bringing me up to 6. That's the way to do that one, I think. And then we will roll again. I roll a 15, -1 for my poor constitution, which is a 14, but I'd like that breakpoint. So I'm going to use the last energy in my little spider friend, and that will bring me back up to a 15, which is 2 stone slabs, which means I will now have 8 stone slabs. Not bad, not bad at all. And let's make our next roll, shall we? 18, everybody. Look at that. I don't even have to worry about it. My little spider friend is out of energy, but we can get that back when we rest. And I now have 10 slabs, and I didn't lose so much health. Okay, one last one. Hunt for iron scraps. This is a D20 plus wisdom, and I can use my investigator, which I do actually have investigator as a bonus, which I like to call the eyes of the grave. There is no raw iron around. I must salvage what I can from the wreckage of the castle. Repeat this roll until I've obtained 10 scraps. All right, well, let's make our first wisdom check. I rolled an 11, and I will note that I have, for my wisdom, I have a +1 wisdom. Right, so I rolled a 12. That's not bad. I also do have Eyes of the Grave, i.e., Investigator, which means that'll go to a 14, which is 1 off from the break point. Just 1 off. Let me think about that. Okay, so I'm at a 14, and I just need 1 more in order to get 2 scraps, and I'm going to do that because I'd like to roll as little as possible, so I'm going to sacrifice a minion. And that will bring me down to 6 minions from 7, and I will be able to go immediately to 2 scraps. Let's see what it says. If the result is 15 or more, I find a nice hunk of usable iron amongst the wreckage. I grab it and add it to the pile of resources, and I gain 2 scraps, which, I feel good about. Let's see. Let's make our second roll for scraps. I roll a 10, plus 1 is an 11, plus 2 for my Eyes of the Grave is 13. We'll just take that middle one. I find 1 small chunk of iron in this wreckage, and I will gain 1 scrap, which will give me a 3. We're allowed to drink potions anytime we want as long as we're not in combat. We're going to note that for a moment. Let's make our third roll. I roll a 6. 7 plus 1 for my wisdom is a 7, plus 2 for Eyes of the Grave is a 9, which is enough to get us in that middle spot, and I'll take it. That'll be 4 chunks of iron, scrap metal. Let's see. Let's try our next roll. 17. Awesome. That's 2 more. That's 6. And then let's go again. I'm feeling pretty good about this. 10. I get to add a plus 3. That's a 13. I'm off. That's fine. We'll just keep that and bring ourselves to a 7. Right here. Let's roll again, shall we? I'm going to drink some potions because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I feel like someone's going to try to kill me. I roll a 5. Plus 3 is an 8, which is still enough to get us out of that zone, which will bring us to 8 scraps of iron. And then let's go to our next roll. 18, everybody. I roll 10. I've got it. I get the 2, and I'm going to gather enough scraps. So just so you all know, I am down to 9 hit points. And I don't know if there's going to be a battle tomorrow, but I just feel like they're draining my hit points. That makes me feel uncomfortable. But also, and I have potions. I've got like a number of health potions. Where are my health potions? I have got 4 health potions. And I don't want to use them because what if I need them? Although I have 9 hit points, so I probably need them. So in which case, I'm going to drink my health potion. It'll restore 1d4 hit points. 3. Okay, not bad. That will bring me back up from 9 hit points, 1, 2, 3, to 12 hit points. And let me go to my inventory and reduce my health potions by 1. Okay. Well, that's actually the end of the day, everybody. That's the end of the day. No more for today. We have gathered all the resources we needed. We lost quite a bit of health, which I think is a trap, just between you and I, and just between you and me. But that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. If you like this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we're really going to rebuild this Dark Citadel castle right on the bones of the... I bet it's fine. I bet there's a moat or something we can reuse. I don't know. You know what, though? What I do know is I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow for more The Souls of Saraku. Bye, everybody.